Alright, well I took this thing out for a drive today, the first time I've ever really driven it, aside from down the driveway. And I noticed a couple of things. One, it doesn't like to restart once it's been running after it's hot. And two, that temp gauge never seems to move. So I think we're going to pull it into the shop here and see if it's got any coolant in it, for one. But if it's got coolant, I'm thinking maybe the temperature sender isn't working. And yeah, it's got to have coolant. I've got heat. So if the temperature sensor is not working, then I imagine it wouldn't want to start once it's hot. Just kind of a guess on my part, but you would think. So we'll check that out, shut that off before it gets too hot, and yeah, see what we find. Alright, well I went ahead and I checked the coolant and we're good there. But I started poking around looking for the coolant temp sensor, and I found wires. Exposed wires, broken connector. And I do believe, if I can get you in there, that it goes to the coolant temp sensor. Where are you? There you are. I see you now. The coolant temp sensor there on the block. So I'm going to take those wires and just stab them back into that temp sensor, and we'll see if it reads on the gauge. And if it does, then most likely it'll start when it's hot. I think what was going on is it didn't know what temperature it was at, so I imagine it just assumed it was cold or too hot or something, and didn't want to fire right. So I think we'll do that and see what happens. Well, my stabbing attempt ended in failure. I knocked off one of those pins there, so that's junk. But luckily I have copious amounts of Buicks, and they just so happen to have, well, some of them do, the right connector. So went ahead and grabbed one of those. I'll wire it in there and plug her in, and hopefully it'll just work and this thing will be fixed. Alright, I got that new plug-in on and I got it plugged in. It's fired up, and see if it's going to work. I don't think it's hot enough right now to register. Matter of fact, I know it isn't. But we're going to go ahead and, well, maybe it's moving a little bit. I don't know. We'll take it outside, let it run, and see if that moves. Alright, it's been sitting here running for a while, and I see that my temp gauge has moved, so that's good. Well, the real question, once I get it parked where I want it, is it going to fire back up? If it fires back up, I think we got it fixed. Fired right up, no problem. I think that was it, just that temp gauge was unplugged, so cool, we got our fix, the heat works. It's a fancy rig. Got the, whatever, they're not leather, I don't think. Whatever seats they are, we got those. Got her cleaned out a bit, some of the crap out of it. Yeah, it'll be a good little truck.